the portal other than how do I do an override.
So could you potentially write like top 10 questions you get and email it to us so that we can make sure that's incorporated in our presentation?
Yeah, that sounds
And
wonderful.
coming out with a handout that is like, once you leave, like post certification survival kit, like after they leave, could include an FAQ document. So
Absolutely.
They would review it to have the handwritten. So it's like the excitement is not there, but in here, oh, these are the things, and the things that you say over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It's right in front of them, and ideally that would diminish the number of questions you get drastically.
Yeah.
And that's in the extra handout we get them, not in the book, because they're gonna look in the book last. They'll just look at the frequently asked questions. I actually get emails too, Julie, like, I know you said this
I know, and you're really good at writing people back.
Could you tell me this answer? I'm like, it's in here doing book.
Could you ever change this?
So you mean what you do on
Saturday?
Monday morning, right?
This is not in our book.
For
but
Saturday?
maybe-
I don't think so.
No.
Well, I was,
But you're gonna be attending the.
I'm going to be attending in this afternoon.
Or if
I'm in the
Lauren
res
could
meeting.
do something.
You can ask her.
Content.
I mean, I can work on it, but definitely not this week.
No.
But then just create
Okay, it'd be nice if they
FAQ
had
doc that
something
goes
like
into
this.
their at-home kit, so
We
that
have
when
it
they
as
are
it is
Could we
printed
have
out.
Lauren, I wonder if
If
Lauren
she does
could
get a phone
maybe,
call, she can just say,
um,
go
At
look
the
it
end
up.
of the
Jill
thing?
wants-
maybe Jill could get together with Lauren
I
a
know,
little
I
bit
collaborate
and maybe
with
have her
Jill,
do
so it'd
this
be
so
really
we
good.
have
Do
by
you have that extra
Saturday.
packet?
Is Lauren coming
Jill
on
thinks it
Saturday?
would be good if we
She's
had
coming.
How to submit a
like
case.
all the colors
And
together.
not the
So
marketing,
like
not
the
we like
marketing.
rearrange the sheet so
frequently
it's in a
asked
row. Like
questions.
this is what you need when
Yeah.
they're.
So let me go ask her to do
Or
that right
maybe if
now.
they put a blue
She
pin
wants
on
us
the
to
whole
put my
thing or
name just a little
something.
bit so Jill can
What
explain
if I
it.
don't want to
Maybe
submit
we
a
should
Jill
question?
explain
Or
it.
I
like,
can't collect
Maybe-
this
Or we
She
can
just has to
ask
rearrange the stuff
Yeah,
so
it
it
just needs to be
whatever,
like-
It's
she'll
easy
maybe
to do.
she'll
Let me
dictate what
ask
the
Jill
top 10 are,
what
and
colors.
that
I think she
I've got
said
her phone calls.
For sure.
patient
She said
interview
that-
first. Jill, sorry, did you say patient interview and then clinical and then other?
Oh, no, I would,
Clinical
if it's
first.
okay, I would, yeah, I
Clinical
would,
first.
Green,
blue, green, pink.
Blue, green, pink.
Maybe we could just tint it very slightly in blue, so
Sorry.
we could see that's the blue one, without disturbing the print.
Green,
Very
pink.
pale blue. Okay, let's go on here.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna take this sheet then that you have in front of you, and I've marked here that they're going to get a youth 6 to 12 appliance. The child is 8 years of age, they have 4 lower incisors, so I've marked that. That's the appliance that they're gonna have. Wear the habit corrector indefinitely until. Now, what are we mostly, we have something on here? No, we don't have anything about 6 months, do we? Or 3 months? Anyway, the ones that I'm interested in, if you turn to the habit, or the
Sleep questionnaire?
sleep questionnaire that they filled out, I'm interested in snoring, 5 to 7 weeks. So I'm going to put that down here. So we put number 2. And I'm interested in labor, difficult, loud breathing at night. That could be hypopnea. I'm going to put 5 down there. I'm going to put, and all of you can do this, so you can take this home with you. Number 6, I'm going to put 2 on there. Now comes hyperactive. I'm not particularly I'm interested in that, but I'm not interested in the initial. So I'm interested in mouth breathing during the day, which is 9, and I'm interested in number 10, mouth breathing particularly at night. Now the things that affects, that she can observe, the mother or father, on how well this is doing, talking in the sleep is a sign that they're not getting sufficient sleep. So I would put down 14 on there. For ability in school, I'm not worried about that at this point. Falls asleep watching television, that's number 16. That's a sign that they're sleepy during the day. So I want that on there. Wakes up at night, 4, 17, I'm going to put that on there. Now, we normally don't have this many, but attention deficit, I'm not worried about yet, but that's something that should be corrected. But restless sleep, I am. If they roll around in bed at night, if you have a child that sleeps next to you and their arms are going, they hit you in the head and everything, that child has sleep issues. If they end up in the morning with their head at the bottom of the bed and their feet on top and the covers are all off, that's a sign they've got sleep issues. So I'm going to put 19 on there. And then we go down to 22. Feels sleepy or irritable during the day. That's another sign. Listening often interrupts, fidgets, ever wets the bed. If that's on there, that's a concern of the child. And I would always put that on there because that's what's important to a young person. and now bluish color. That's another sign, but it's not as significant as some of these others, so I'm gonna leave that, and speech, I'm gonna leave off of there, so that's a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
So the
A
more
lot of issues.
more specifically sleep-related ones are the ones you put
That's
there,
right.
as opposed to
And
behavioral.
And that's what behavioral, social problems, school problems, they're gonna be the ones that are gonna be affected, but they're not the immediate problems of sleep deprivation, or that they're not getting sufficient sleep or proper sleep.
Is the order of these symptoms on this form dead set? Is there a particular order to this?
We can change that. I've always thought that the snoring is a little bit confusing up there, I don't know.
Well, yeah, and I don't mind the snoring. I feel like that makes sense to parents. What I think would be helpful is, you know, it all boils down to mouth breathing. What are the three things? Mouth breathing,
Right.
help me out here, guys.
Snoring, grinding your teeth.
Yeah, pregnancy brain here. Anyway, I find that when we correct mouth breathing, allergies go away, excessive sweating goes away, talking, so many of these things go away. So if we were able to have like mouth breathing, 9 and 10 here, with all the most common symptoms related to it, it's kind of cool to see when mouth breathing turns from a 5 to a 2, how everything else
That
resolves as
sounds
well.
good.
Oh, I
Nothing
see what
to-
you're saying, so that you're seeing all in a block, all the things that are getting.
All the
corrected.
things that are
Particularly
related.
as Dr. B went over them, he highlighted the ones that he felt were important. If we had those kind of together.
It really
Let's do
helps
that.
from
Then
We'll do
that way,
that.
from our
That's a good
diagnostic
From a case
standpoint, we could
presentation
look at that column and
perspective, it
go,
helps to say,
Yeah.
well, your son is a mouth breather at night, you rated that a 5. We can tell here, when the mouth breathing at night improves, we're actually gonna see all these other things resolve themselves as well. So I can't wait for you to fill this out in a month.
It's also good for the mother, because they realize that all of a sudden mouth breathing is the most important, and they'll see
Right.
all the other things that are related
This
in
mom-
order.
This
Yeah, we'll
mom's
do
crying
that.
on the way home, she's so
Wouldn't it-
overwhelmed.
wouldn't it
Yeah.
also, from our standpoint as doing the diagnosis and treatment plan, if it was the ones that were most important were kind of blocked,
Yeah.
so then we can look at it and go, boom, boom, boom. And then that way, these other guys, we don't really even have to look at when we're doing the
Yeah,
diagnosis.
marshes and.
So I don't have an answer right now.
Jill, you wanna work on, you wanna give me a list? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're talking about grouping all the sleep problems off this list?
Let me go over that, and
Well, with their
Yeah, I'll get the list from her and then
Change it, yeah, we'll work on it.
Oh my gosh,
I won't change anything without your
I'm so
approval,
worried
Dr.
about
B.
that.
The only thing
Actually,
is,
if
we
can use
have
that-
this
that one,
copyrighted,
that's what I need
so
to
I'm
do.
gonna
Let's
have to
focus
redo
on
that.
this one.
That's
Let's
okay.
focus on that.
I can
I don't think the order would be,
That's
well,
what she's talking about, changing the order.
Yeah, not the.
make sure you talk to the patent attorney, because
will.
everything you print is copyrighted automatically. I've heard
Right,
that,
right,
anyway.
but the FDA is like a little bit.
Okay, the next one under D.
It's okay.
And just-
Upper arch expansion. I'm gonna go to the photograph now and look. And this child has, on the right side, if you notice, this is on this picture area, there you go. You notice on the right side, the dentition's very close. It could be wider, couldn't it?
Sure, absolutely.
And the left side, obviously, there's almost a crossbite here, a little bit of a crossbite. So I'm gonna put down upper arch expansion, also to help under D.
Got it.
Yeah, so these D's here, because these are common things that Dr. B often writes in. He often adds to help with upper arch expansion or to help with swallowing problems. So I just put them there because they seem to be common, so that you can check them off.
They may not have any other
Yep.
sleep issue, but they might have a
Yes.
narrowed
No,
palate, and we put it
Yeah.
down, so they have to wear it.
It's another
Now,
reason for the habit corrector.
when you go on the
essentially.
first page here, we look, and there's a swallowing pattern here. Where is it here? Have it. Swallowing problems. So I would mark swallowing. Now frequently, tongue thrust,
backwards,
swallowing
I guess.
are one and the same, but if they have tongue thrust, I put it down.
Sometimes
Finger or
they'll
thumb
have it
habits?
here, but none of these will be filled out.
She doesn't have, so we
Or
don't
the
put that on
opposite.
there. Okay? The appliance size.
Really quick, can I say something, Dr. B? For B, I just want to make sure everybody understands, because I had an issue with our other doctor that diagnoses. The pads are for open bite patients, not overbite.
correct.
I just had an issue recently where one was recommended and the
So,
patient only had an
anterior-
overbite, not an open bite. So that's
So
there.
I forgot to put this on there. So when you look back at this case again, you see that she has about maybe a 1 millimeter, 1.5 millimeter overbite. We would not have pads, so it's no.
Right. So-
Almost always it's no pads.
Yes, almost always it's no pads.
You know, it's normal, not a D5, so no pads.
Shipping, okay. So we're done now with the sleep issues. The only thing we might add on here
Sure.
is if they have a number 6 or 7.
We have that on the back sheet, see?
Ah,
I am concerned about symptoms blank if you do not see improvement after 3
okay.
months with the habit
So
corrector.
now that they're on there, I would go back there. Maybe you want to incorporate that underneath, but anyway, I would put down number 6 there. Because that's, no, excuse me. Yeah, it's number 6, it's number.
Yeah, if you want it on the
Interrupted
first
snoring.
page, I can add it in there. I only had it on the back because it's normally like an extra comment you put in the back.
We might put that with it,
Sure.
anyway. So number 6, if we do not see improvement after 3 months with the habit corrector, then consult a sleep. We might put in here, recommend a Knox appliance or something like that. Anyway, we might change this
And
periodically.
that was because you saw question number, or item number 6 was
6 was
answered.
number 2.
Have interrupted snoring, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
that's serious.
Gotcha.
Now, we might go back here, and
Got it.
she's put
Can I have a
interrupted
pen?
snoring here as well on the first page.
Yes, I see it.
You might
Obviously,
want to
that's probably
sharpen that
true.
one, Julia.
Oh,
That's
man.
hilarious.
That is-
Now, we might go back
I didn't
while
put a
we're at
G.
it and see if they have swelling of the tonsils. It wouldn't be bad for us to put the different categories of swelling tonsils on here, you know?
On this?
Yeah. So they.
Oh,
can-
the grades you talk about?
Yeah, in fact,
Okay.
when the patient fills this out, they can put the different grades.
What form is that? Mouth breathing?
I'll give it to you, it's in one of my seminar things. Anyway, minor swelling is not a problem. Major swelling is when the tonsils almost touch each other. We'll have pictures of the tonsils so they can actually fill that out. And major swelling is either number 0.
So we're teaching the Mallampati score and showing pictures of the Mallampati score? Do you want something?
To parents or to?
For the dentist to fill out.
Yeah.
So they can relate. Major swelling, they don't know exactly, but if they look
Okay.
at the picture, they can see it.
So this form should really I know Jim just left, but we should have those pictures that Mal.
I think so.
I don't think it's on there. At one point, something was on there.
The
We
portal?
need to change that in this.
Or the
don't know if it's-
presentation?
And not teach Mallampati, just teach minor,
We'll put that in there.
moderate, and major. swelling.
Major swelling is when they almost
You don't
touch.
think we should
What
do
about-
Mallampati?
What about grades of tonsil or?
Those are just at grade 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, however you want to do it.
I
That's
think
what
we
you
just,
want,
I just
right?
think we just need to
The 1,
decide
2,
whatever
3,
Dr.
4.
B wants and do it that way.
There's no swelling, minor swelling, major swelling, and touch each other.
Yeah, that's what you want on there?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
I believe that's the same
What's
as the
simple?
Mallampati score.
Yeah.
Well, do we need it?
And so if there's major swelling or they touch each other, those are grounds for
The
tonsillectomy.
Mallampati and tonsil are swelling are different.
And almost always when they do a tonsillectomy, they might do an adenoidectomy, but that cannot be told unless you have a cephalometric, and they're not gonna have that in most cases.
Okay.
So they would feel that. Minor swelling, I wouldn't worry about it, it's not a problem. So we don't
Teach it the way the form.
recommend tonsil removal.
Okay.
Adenoid removal, we need a head plate or
You know
they,
what, let me just interrupt here. The only difference is if they're collecting under medical insurance, they
Okay.
might ask that question, what their
Mallampati score?
score. So maybe we just make it all to that score, and then we'll be able to. Now, is the 4th level of the Mallampati score kissing tonsils?
Well, that's where my question is. I thought Mallampati is different than the grades of tonsil
It is.
swelling.
It is
They're
different.
They're different.
It is
Okay,
different.
so,
which ones does medicine cover? Or the insurance?
Well,
Number 4?
Yeah.
No,
so
but
we were
hold
talking
on
about
for a minute.
tonsils or
Tonsils.
Tonsils.
So, I guess he asked two different questions.
Yeah.
So, they're two different things.
they're two different things.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Do they have to touch each other for the medical
on.
insurance to cover?
That part I don't know, but obviously, most when they're touching, most doctors are going to be.
I know that, we want to make sure if it's covered medically, do you know?
it depends. I mean, it should be.
I think it would. I mean, 'cause that's pretty.
It should be.
Well, it should be, but I don't know if they're almost
still
touching.
have-
Now, what happens is, you're looking at the tonsils when they're sitting in their chair upright. When they sleep at night, they're soft, they go back, and almost touching will probably be touching at night. So we could combine those two. into one, make sure that it's covered medically if they go in and have them removed.
So the question is, so when they're going into the portal and they're filling out these sheets, maybe having that Mallampati score is important, and you're saying the Mallampati score only goes to the tonsils and not the adenoids.
The Mallampati is more the position of the tongue,
It's more-
blockage of the airway, yeah.
Oh, so that's not really what we're looking at this point.
So what, is the question medical coverage of the removal or medical coverage of the appliance after the removal?
Even when you're filling it out for sleep apnea, they're gonna ask you for what that score is. So I'm just trying to figure out, because the
Right, so
idea is.
in my experience, I've had 100% coverage regardless of Mallampati score for medical insurance.
But they required you to give that score.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they required it, but I've included it in the
Okay,
3 or
so-
4 would be automatically covered.
Well,
I've
no.
turned in a 1.
Huh?
Oh, I've turned in 1 and 2s, and those have been covered as well.
But
The idea is that when a doctor fills this out, it will populate the medical form.
what's more important, tonsillar swelling grade or Mallampati score? And then does that, I'm getting confused on which one should be more, if any should be
Like
included.
what should we represent on the
And what should
form?
be, because they're different. So what should we have that? Should we have both? Should we just have one? I want to have that clarified.
I think actually this, well, maybe I don't want to say. 'cause
No, go ahead.
I'm not the doctor, I'm just
Yeah,
someone who.
just play one on TV, right? No, I'm just kidding.
I have blonde hair, so excuse me.
No,
So I think the swellingness of the tonsils is critical because that is actually cutting off the
Yeah, I would
oxygen
agree
as
with that.
opposed, because we're working with the tongue placement. So that's, but now when we look at medical reimbursement or insurance, are we doing a disservice for our doctors by not including that into this form? So Jill, let me ask you this, because you filled out medical insurance forms. So I don't know if you follow this, or do you automatically always look at the Mallampati score?
Well, I read the Mallampati score, but I look at how big the airway is with the tonsils and the tongue. So I've been misclassifying patients. Apparently, I need to review the Mallampati score and how to do that because I thought it included the tonsils as well.
Right.
So, oops.
So the-
I'll review that.
So
but-
let's ask Dr. Gonzalez.
Yeah.
So what is your profession?
Well, I guess in order to look at the tonsils, you're gonna have to look at the Mallampati, would you agree? Because
Right,
you have to look at the tongue, so by getting to the tonsils, you're gonna see the Mallampati where the position of the tongue is. And the medical literature shows that 3 and especially 4 Mallampatis are indicative of airway obstruction to some extent. So even by removing the tonsils, even if they're kissing, that child or an adult even who has a Mallampati 4 is, what I've seen anecdotally, is having some kind of a choke point in the oral pharynx. So the literature's out there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
they're-
that's
they,
kind
I
of the
think they
same.
go hand in hand.
Mallampati includes that, where
Yeah.
tonsillar swelling is just tonsils, not the tongue posture.
Yeah. So I haven't been commenting in my objective findings. I give a Mallampati score, and then I'll say like very
Swollen tonsils.
yeah
Okay.
swollen tonsils.
But I think
But I haven't been saying minimal, moderate, or severe.
to your question though, the hierarchy of what's more severe to the physician is obviously gonna be the tonsils, because that's obviously needs to come out if they're totally obstructing the airway.
Right.
The Mallampati, there's nothing you can do, that's what you got.
Well, I'm just thinking, I hate adding anything more, because the biggest complaint of this is, oh my gosh, it's so long. But I think maybe from the dentist observing this, I think both should be there. We should ask both questions. One is the Mallampati score, and then are the tonsils swollen or are they kissing? And maybe, I don't know, during the course, maybe we do make that distinction of Mallampati score, obviously you do see the tonsil, but you see the tongue as well. We want to go beyond that and look at what the tonsils are as well. What do you think, guys? Or do you think that's another?
I mean, I think it's like one quick look. Like I just
Yeah.
don't think it's that big a deal.
So, okay.
So I think
you
it's
see what will.
you know,
So
it's
why
kind
do we
of,
believe in the insurance
I
part?
don't know.
I think a diagnostic standpoint, why is that? I'm confused.
Well, you have
Why
to-
are we belaboring the insurance aspect of it? This is a diagnosis for a dentist to say, yes, this is, and doesn't that then become a referral to the ENT?
I think that the end game is to have all the necessary information to populate a SOAP note to get the medical insurance, so there's nothing extra that you have to obtain, right? That it's all there the first time?
The doctors, okay, so yes, you are so absolutely right, Dr. Duffy,
Right.
that we are doing a diagnosis, this is the information that we need. But when, I'm just thinking beyond that, because
Okay.
the doctors are saying, okay, I only want to fill out one form, what are you going to do for me? So the idea is that we have the information that is necessary to populate a medical insurance form as well and create the subnotes for them.
Okay.
So this is an absolute complete diagnosis. Might not be everything that you need, or maybe it's too much information than you really need, but I'm
understand.
sorry, I
That's
have
fine.
you all here, so I want to kind of get your
Yeah.
feedback
No,
so
no.
that
That's fine.
whatever we decide to do, we're kind of covering our bases. So I think from what Dr. Gonzalez said, I think we're going to ask both questions. We're going to say Malin-Potty score, and we can actually give like the pictures, and they can pick 1, 2, or 3, or 4, and then we'll say, and we'll keep this form that says, are the tonsils swollen, meaning that, are they touching? So,
It can be added right here.
right,
Yeah,
okay?
I agree. There may be a lot of
Sorry, I'm
language, but it's
just-
very quick.
yeah, it's quick,
Okay.
especially with the pictures like that, number 2.
So anyway, we have questions. Tonsils can be removed. Adenoids, generally, we can't make a decision on that, but if the tonsils, I can't remember which it
You'll
is.
just often say, and also I would have them check the adenoids.
Pardon?
Oftentimes you'll write, if tonsils are touching or almost touching, refer for possible.
Right.
And then you'll say, and have them check the adenoids too.
Right, and almost always, if they take one out, if the other one's at all swollen, they'll take the 2 out at the same time. So, anyway, and then expansion. If we don't see sufficient expansion for the child,
Oh, we should take that out, because I put that, you know what, just cross that off, because you had me add this, remember, instead.
Okay, we'll take that out.
Yeah.
And how about
Cross
the
out the one
frenectomy?
that says, if you do not see enough expansion from the habit corrector, because we have a whole section for that now.
Okay, so number bullet point 2.
Did you hear me, Joe?
Cross off bullet point 2.
Cross out the one that says, if you do not see enough
About the
expansion.
sports thing.
Where is
I
that
just
on
want-
here? Is that?
No, it's on this front page
On the diagnosis.
of the
Oh,
diagram.
on the front one of this,
Yeah.
okay. And how about the frenectomy, is that, we fill that out?
Yeah, the frenectomy you can fill out.
Only if they have a space between the front teeth.
Do you ever recommend a tonsil removal without an adenoid, or do you recommend both?
There is a provision, I can't remember, if the adenoids are swollen, I think always the tonsils are swollen, almost always. If the tonsils are swollen, I think it's not always that the adenoids might be swollen. They should, the ENT person should take a lateral head plate.
Okay.
I don't think that's up to the dentist. I mean, it would be nice if they took it. And I always recommend, I know you do it, and, but if a dentist is gonna get a new pan machine, they should get a combination machine like you have. Not necessarily 3D. I mean, 3D is wonderful, but for young children, 3D is a lot of exposure. But anyway, that's the only way you can tell. An ENT person can go in there with a mirror, but in a young child, that, I can see where that could be a real,
Sometimes he
Absolutely.
talks about tonsils without talking about adenoids.
So I don't feel comfortable even sometimes evaluating the adenoids on this stuff, I'm just not there yet. But if we're recommending seeing to an ENT, the ENT is ultimately gonna make the decision. In my area, if they do
Yeah.
tonsils, they do adenoids, so
but
that.
if you
so it
have a
doesn't
head
matter,
plate,
right?
it's easy to
Gotcha.
see, because if you see the airway, you'll see it's very narrow and there's a big bulge there.
Okay,
And when they're removed, there's an opening up there.
You know what then?
Okay.
You can just check the one that says the circle, just check the circle. You know what I mean? And you don't have to specify,
Okay.
yeah.
You just go boop.
well, I would just say
Yeah.
both, because why would you have tonsils and then have to have adenoids later?
That's it.
But-
The only reason I did that is because of language he uses sometimes.
No, for sure, I just wanna make sure, because that's one area I don't feel super sure.
Maybe something there should be stated that if no stuff is available, make sure the ENT checks for the adenoids, or something like that.
Okay. Well, that's something that I kind of put in what the doctors get.
Okay, you're right, right.
Yeah, when we get the note that's back from the, on the
Yeah.
treatment plan, it'll say in there, you'll say, and please have the adenoids evaluated.
Yeah, I just
That's-
take
that-
this and then I use different
Yeah.
language for the
So if we
diagnosis.
just go like that, then you know what is
Yeah,
coming.
yes.
Okay.
This is just for me.
Okay, I mean, are there any other questions here? Now we're gonna go into the appliance size. I think we're all done with that. Concerns if the patient has,
Pink rulers?
I gave everybody a pink.
Oh, yeah,
you do?
Yes, we
Everybody
have
should have a
more
pink
here.
Here, everybody should take one of these.
Here's some more here.
If you don't
John told me
have,
how to spell that
I'm just
word.
telling you, I'm just saying.
The cane, it's not there. The cane.
Oh, okay. Got it, Jill.
Oh, really?
Got it.
Okay, when they,
You're right, there was a K.
Everybody found a pink ruler on
Oh,
their
sorry,
seat?
not-
Sorry, I keep these in my purse.
Oh, thank you. Very nice.
Not nice.
Not
Very
surprising.
intrusive and aggressive, but I'm like, oh, you may be interested?
okay,
She
now,
carried this with you at all times.
I have one in my purse right
Good for
now.
now.
Dylan or Dylan, what is that?
Dylan.
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 She's a female.
She is.
I never knew anybody by that name.
It's very popular now. There's James, there's all kinds of girl
James
names.
is a girl name?
Yes.
James,
Yep.
Come on.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Blake Lively started that trend.
was she formerly a
Ryan
boy
Reynolds.
and turned
Wait,
girl?
Blake
or what?
Lively named her girl James?
Now,
Yeah,
now we got
that's
the whole
her.
transgender kind
Yeah,
of situation.
James is kind of popular.
Dr. B.
May I
Oh,
join so
I
sick of
follow a
all
lot of
this stuff?
celebrities on Instagram.
You and me both.
Well, I'm on Instagram, but that's
Okay,
not
here.
great.
And I have a big crush on their relationship. Those two.
Maybe,
They're very
maybe when I was in high school and they'd have co-showers, it wouldn't have been so bad.
Back then, it would have been appropriate,
But
right?
at this age,
No,
I'm not interested in any of this stuff.
not happening.
Okay,
I can shower with my wife if I need to, but anyway, go ahead. Moving on.
TMI, can we just stay
Moving on.
focused here,
Moving
gentlemen?
on, moving
wait,
on.
let's clarify one thing. When it's needed, what is that? I'm sorry.
That's
The
good.
next one is
I
the
hope
pan.
Kathy's editing this video.
No, we're gonna do a lot of editing here. I
My
think.
wife's gonna be asking me a question, that's for sure. Go
So
ahead.
the pan, if there's nothing wrong, according to them, they'll say yes. Now, I would not depend on them. So I would go back and look at the pan to make sure that it's usually the last page. Now, the pan can be a huge problem because they're all over the place.
Yeah.
And this girl has pretty good pans. I mean,
Yeah, and this is a copy,
This
so
is
it's
a
even
Xerox.
less
This
clear.
is not the
The
greatest.
original was good.
but she gives very good ones. So I would look to make sure, there are several things I look at. I want to make sure that the two buys are present and the canines are present. I want that canine to be coming in distal to the lateral. Okay, so when I look at that lower, the lower three teeth, they're okay. I can't see what's down below the roots of these teeth, but I want to make sure that everything looks okay down there, if there's any abscess or something. Then I look at the uppers, and I see that the upper three teeth are present. I see that the two buys are there. Sometimes if there's a severe rotation of a buy, you can see it, and I would maybe mark that there's a rotation on the buy. Hopefully it'll come in okay, maybe not, you know. Usually the buys will rotate. As they get squeezed in, they will rotate in place. So anyway, the canine, upper canines are the ones that I'm particularly interested in. We have a thing, and tomorrow you'll see that there's an angulation that I look for. And if the canine, now the left one, now sometimes they don't mark. They must mark, and they should always have a patient's name. They should also have a date. If they don't have this, it's not legal in law, you know. They are brought in. But usually the left side is over here always, isn't it? Would you say that?
Yeah.
I mean, almost every pan, I see the L over there. Anyway, the left one looks okay. The right one, probably okay. It looks like it's almost heading into the lateral root. But when I look closely, I see the lateral root going up beyond the crown. Even though the canine looks like it's in the same position, it's probably labial to that lateral. But if the canine is angulated and it's actually heading into the root, I would make sure I mention that. Now, that might be grounds to send it off to an orthodontist for treatment if it's going to be impacted. But it doesn't stop us from doing the sleep issues. So there are times when a child might be going into orthodontics and we have them in a sleep appliance. We might just continue that, even with braces.
Yeah, the adult, right? The adult appliance will fit over braces. The adult habit corrector.
I think it will squeeze around it a little bit. I don't know if you'd want
It
to.
was designed to fit over.
Yeah.
So
If
it's-
if it's every time one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
Now,
got it down.
we had a former girl here whose child was being treated by an orthodontist, and she complained about the mouth breathing. Has that appliance been made, that shield?
No, but it will be.
It's coming. I had the child wear a shield at night to stop the mouth breathing, and I didn't even bother calling the orthodontist. He didn't know. Now, he'll think his braces stop the mouth breathing if he's watching it, but, I mean, that's a thing that we could do. So if the child wanted to wear the appliance while they get braces, I think the dentist should notify the,
And that's, the shield is great, but I still really like the whole idea of the adult habit corrector, because not only are we stopping the mouth breathing, we're putting the tongue in the right position.
right, a lot of other things are
So
happening.
often, the orthodontist doesn't even look at a tongue thrust.
But if they got braces on all the teeth, you're not gonna be, you might be changing the tongue and so forth. Anyway,
Right.
So if the
that's-
canine is angled to a certain degree, is it, other than treating from a sleep standpoint, the rest of the treatment is contraindicated?
probably would be.
Okay.
Because you're gonna get, the dentist is gonna get in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And the canine is gonna be impacted, and if it's sent to the orthodontist, he says, well, we should have been in here early, why didn't you tell me, you know, this,
Right.
you know.
Okay.
So, now sometimes, the dentists like to do orthodontics themselves. I do not generally recommend that they do canine impactions.
Right.
It's one of the biggest failures that we have in ortho. So why not give it to the orthodontist, let him make a decision on
So,
Oh,
well, I was getting a 6-month smile, do they do canine impactions?
Not usually.
Okay.
No.
Quick question. So on the lower canines, they look pretty rotated on this pano. Is that something to ever keep note of? Take note of?
it. Could, they will usually rotate in place pretty well, but
Okay.
if that's a 90-degree rotation, it could be rotated pretty severely. It may not come all the way, and a canine rotation, once it's up, is almost impossible to correct. That may have to be done orthodontically, but at least the canines are coming in, you know, so they're gonna be in there. Now, once in a while, you'll see a lateral or a bi that's rotated severely, and that may be a problem. If they're more than 90 degrees, they become a big problem, so. So we take a look at the eruption. I also take a look at the second molars, particularly in the lower. And it's nice that there's space. It's nice that these teeth will come in nicely. If it's caught in the embrasure of the first molar, that may be a problem, and I may state that they may need a separating wire, they may need another appliance. There are a couple of appliances that we can use that will push the tooth back. So there are a couple alternatives to that. The upper molars almost always come in. They erupt distally, as you notice. The lowers erupt mesially. So the uppers will usually come down. If we were to use something that will distalize these molars, either a distalizing appliance or a bumper, we'd want to make sure that there's space back here. There's a lot of space, particularly on that left one. There's like 2.5 millimeters there. On the other side, there might be a little over 1 millimeter. But we can move those molars back. If it's caught in the embrasure, I would wait until the second molar is halfway up on that tooth, to the on the crown, before we start distalizing anything, regardless of how you distalize. Okay?
So are you, on a case review, are you asking for an updated image and then tell them when to do that, or you're just giving them that, wait till the second molar has erupted past the embrasure to the clinical crown height, and then use a lip bumper or whatever?
Please circle all that apply.
That's for stripping.
What are we talking about?
Are you, are they gonna
Because you
submit
just
it
said, he often says it. He'll often say, wait to do this until something's half erupted or 3/4 of the way
Right.
erupted.
and
He'll
then
write
leave it
that
to them to
note.
decide, or they
Right.
resubmit?
I've got a
to-
case
Yeah.
here that's more complicated that we're going to show you that has closure of the second bicuspid space. And there's a tooth down there, but it's a long time coming, and we're going to make a decision on that.
I feel
I
like
won't tell
it's-
you what my decision is yet.
I
but-
feel like
We
it's
just
really
tell
up
them to
to the doctor, right? Like the diagnosing doctor, what they want to do. If you want to just say,
Well, you should
do it,
recommend
do
what's
it.
your decision.
yeah, if you want to say, send me a pain, like he was saying, they might not necessarily, but some of the doctors like that because it's more like they feel like they're getting more than they're getting what they paid for.
Okay.
So
And
if
if
you
there's-
feel inclined to do that, I'm sure they'd like it.
And if
because
there's
it
any
feels-
chance that something might be used later, I would mention it. It shouldn't be a surprise to the doctor
Yeah.
that you recommend something 6 months later to cure something. You should always mention it first. Put that in there. You have to feel that all of you are more experienced than the doctor you're diagnosing cases for in most cases. And so, you know, you're the one that's going to try and make the decision for him. He can make his own decision if he doesn't want to do it.
So there's not
Yeah.
necessarily a Healthy Start policy that says
No.
we
No.
require it before we do anything. Okay.
No, we don't have any
But
set
he'll
policy.
like so the typical treatment plan we say cleats 1 to 2 months in, bumper also like 1 to 2 months in.
Right.
But if you feel it should be sooner, or then say so, or he'll say, you know, right now the way things are going, the bumper isn't needed, but it could be needed later.
Okay.
So like they're knowing, they're not surprised if something comes up. He'll
By the
often
way,
say something
we
like
get
that.
more problems recommending you use bumpers, don't you?
Mm.
No, we get more problems from the bumper than anything else. 'Cause
Absolutely.
Push the
Pushback.
canine's out of line, it's
Yeah.
very hard. It might take you 25 or 30 tries to make sure that fits. So we're thinking of maybe using like what your dad did, Schwartz's.
That's all I use. And I'll tell you.
Well, that's too widen, but we would
Right.
use sagittals in the same way. It's
Push
the
back.
opposite
Right.
to
Yeah.
distalize. And I think it would maybe make more sense. If it can't be done with that, then we might recommend a bumper, but then it means we have to size the bands and all the rest, and they have a lot of questions. I get more questions on that than anything else.
Agreed.
I hear feedback that they recommended a bumper and I didn't do it. And now it's not turning out the way it's supposed to. Well,
It was, is
I
not,
get
or
the
is?
same.
It's not being used. You said to use a bumper, I'm not gonna use a bumper, and now the case isn't turning out. Well, if you have to use a bumper, if it's recommended, you have to use it to get the results.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but you,
and some
in that
doctors
case,
will
you
come
might
back and
use
say-
a sagittal.
Sometimes
Right.
they'll
Well,
come
I'm
back.
just saying, from other doctors that I
Oh,
hear
yeah,
of that are
right.
recommended.
Some
bumpers.
doctors never speak up until it's too late. Some doctors get the treatment plan and then they immediately say, I don't want to use the bumper. What else can we do?
And we're actually, I'm glad you hear that, because we actually do teach that. Hey guys, if you don't want to do bumpers, just write that on there. And they'll either say, this, you have to use a lip bumper, or refer the case, or hey, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna use a lip bumper, what else can I use?
Yeah, we'll say if,
Don't just
if
say,
you
"I'm not
can't do
gonna
it
use
without
it."
it,
Yeah.
or he'll come. Sometimes he says, okay, then use the Schwartz instead, or something like that.
Okay, that makes me feel good that you actually hear that.
Yeah.
So, if you tell a dentist, someone that maybe does not have a lot of orthodontic experience, and you say, I want you to use a Schwartz or a sagittal, is that like, ooh? Or is that
How do
more
I
accepting?
make it? You just take a top and upper and lower impression, send it to the lab, and then try it in the patient's mouth. I can do that. It's seating the molar bands, fitting the lip bumper.
Big problem.
That
Even
is so
even with the
fun.
Schwartz
It's a
though,
huge problem.
there's still kind of a pushback of like, wait a minute, that's way out of what I've ever done before.
Absolutely.
You know, and I have no clue. You know, I often use the tenor and say, I'm some old guy that just got started in this. If I can do it, you can do it.
By
You know,
the
but
way-
even then though, it's still,
Now, by the way, Julia is going to put down, we should keep a list of the doctors that are familiar with orthodontics that do it. And so there are some doctors that are enough familiar with orthodontics, they've taken courses on it, that they can use the bumper more frequently. Forrester is one of them. He's done enough of them now that there's no question. He can use the bumper, he's got his own bands and everything else. No problem. But the first guy is going to be a problem. So whenever they say, oh, I do orthodontics, have some marker on your sheets.
I really don't. I feel like I don't ask. Nobody tells me.
No, I know, but if we happen to know,
Oh, okay.
we might put it on there.
We should maybe have another category or something on the sheet that comes to the doctor that would indicate they don't do bumpers.
it's right.
Or,
They don't do ortho or
Do you
anything.
have,
Yeah.
you know, do you have?
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, but I
something-
can tell you that the majority of the
Majority.
offices don't do bumpers.
okay.
I know,
Do
but
they tell you that and say, if it needs a bumper, I'm not gonna do the treatment, or do they still want the treatment?
It's more so second looks come back and we can tell that they didn't use because the bumper always comes. That's the problem. The bumper always comes with the kit. It's not an additional charge, so they don't really need to communicate it to me that they don't use it. It's more so they come back later and they didn't. You can tell then that they didn't use the bumper. So they're not always all fessing up. Or offices more recently have been like, I'm ready to start doing what I should have been doing. You know, or something like
There's not an extra
that.
charge for a lip bumper?
No, it's included in the case.
Oh, if they need it.
That's
The
generous.
bumper, the molar bands, we charge
Wait,
for,
well-
but not the actual bumper.
John, you had something,
Oh,
because
just
you've
that-
experienced this in the
Well, that's
office.
what I'm doing at all these lectures. Basically, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm really trying to say if there's less than 4 millimeters of crowding, you probably won't need a bumper. But there's basically no ands or buts. If there's 4 millimeters of crowding and the lower fours are all in, you're going to need to do a bumper or a Schwartz. Like that's just the plan. So I'm trying to mitigate those doctors who just send the hardest cases. I
Did we
don't-
talk about the bumper a lot in the course?
Yeah, it's-
I used to, but
Because I
I'm
think
not
that they
talking
come
about it
in-
at all.
Depends on who's.
Yeah.
I think that they come in thinking they're just gonna get the appliance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're
I think
gonna
a lot of
stop
people
talking.
end up
There's a
being
lot of
surprised that there's
uniformity.
extra stuff.
There's not a lot of uniformity on the presentation of the lip bumper, depending on who's
Who's doing it?
Who's doing
doing
it?
Yeah.
It's either 2 minutes or it's 20.
Well, I
Not at all.
think,
Once again.
so actually, on Saturday, Guilherme Johnson from Brazil,
Cool.
who he's the chairman of the orthodontic and pediatric department there, is going to present it. And he said, oh, I'm awesome on the bumpers. So I don't know what that exactly means, but I told him the presentation has to be X amount.
We better talk to him a little bit first.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
And talk to him about some of the functionals, because the functionals they're not scared of. The other thing I might mention is that we might recommend that they strip teeth when they start. John had a very good recommendation that if you have a young child, say of 8, you don't want to strip all of the 4 millimeters, 2 millimeters on each of the second assiduous molars, because you might get decay down the line. So it's better if you spread the stripping out between several teeth. If they're 11, maybe 10 and a half, you strip it all on the second assiduous molar. On the ones that come in early, they might have to then go back and strip more from the second assiduous molar if they need it. What happens frequently is the doctors don't strip. I see cases coming in afterwards, and they're crowded. Now all the permanent teeth are in, or the second molars are in there, and they've never stripped. And
now it's a hard.
Now it's getting to be a last-minute thing, and so it's very important that they do strip.
So I put this
maybe
stripping
stripping
section in
should
so
be
we
in
can be a little
dark
bit more
letters there.
specific.
Yeah.
I put in there, we have in there, if you do not strip, essentially you will probably have to have a bumper.
Affect the treatment of the case.
Yeah, and we put to do it right away. I think it will help that we're getting a little bit more specific. I don't think that they like the generic 2 millimeters every time like we had before. I think that they'll like that we're getting a little bit more specific with the
That's fine.
stripping.
Even with the older kids, I've gotten the pushback that I'm not taking 2 millimeters off one tooth.
Just a little bit.
I know.
That's what they'll say to me, and then I'll say, look,
Take a little
it's
bit
okay,
off.
just distribute it. Go from here, and then go to here, and then a little bit there. Go to the other side, do the same thing. Half millimeter or so each way,
Right.
then you got it. So that they really get, I think if we put that language in there, rather than just saying 2 millimeters.
Especially at 6 or 7 years of age. I
No
mean,
question.
they don't want
Even with the
decay.
older kids, there's a lot of docs who just, I'm not stripping off 2 millimeters.
Don't ever strip the upper deciduous canine. That's a rule.
That's right.
So I'm gonna, when I changed it, I took it off, but in the stripping section, here, and here, I'm gonna have an opportunity, I'm gonna have a space where you can write in how many millimeters, 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters,
In each
depending on
location.
what tooth you're stripping.
So let's go back to the doctor that's attending the course. When they
Upper canine, I should not, we should take that off.
slenderizing.
Cause never,
Are
Some are
not.
not.
I just cross that
Always
out.
cross
Even
this
like-
Invisalign?
We don't
You-
use the
have you
four
ever-
screw. And that's-
I mean,
he'll do the rest.
Really?
I've done it
Yeah.
routinely.
well, we still want
Or you might
this
say
for
do not strip
lower,
upper.
right? We
Yeah,
still,
lower, oh, yeah.
we still want left and mesial.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah,
Lower.
no, that's right, but we don't
But
want
we'll
any.
cross this off and then I can
Okay.
put a red thing that says never strip
Can't get 'em
upper
sometimes.
teeth,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Okay.
So Dr. Gonzalez, the first time you heard that, were you like, or were you more open to understand how that works?
Well, I guess I'm different, I'm open to learning and understanding, but to this point, we were talking on the way up here, most of our training in dental school by the orthodontic departments were like, just refer it to the orthodontist, you don't want to be dealing with this, right? And so.
What's happening for lunch here? Are they-
They already got
Any
it.
invasive technique like that.
Let me just finish this.
Well, pushback.
Yeah.
So
Lunch,
I've
and then we'll-
just got started on this up till now, is the second part more advanced course for those.
Right, we chatted about that too.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, the lunch is here, but I would like to go through the stripping. I'd like to
Yeah.
finish this
Okay,
case.
so we'll
on
finish
the
this
other
case
side.
before lunch, and
Go.
we've not got
We're
there.
holding
Now that
it.
the lunch is here, no one will interrupt, everybody be quiet.
They will usually send in, you'll get 2 different types of cases. You'll get ones that are digitized, where they've sent the model in, where Julia has digitized, or you get one like this, which is, this has not been put through the,
There's a copy of the digital one in your stack. It's this thing that has all this writing on it. This is what it looks like from the program.
you will not be measuring, you cannot measure that case because it's enlarged.
So what will happen
with the
is,
ruler.
this isn't a great example of the measuring because this is when I was doing the arch, but there will be measurements for each individual tooth. And I will add up and what the measurements are and essentially what the size should be because I have to do it on the computer.
So that one you wouldn't measure, but when they come in like this, we're gonna measure this. Because we can't put this in the,
I mean, we can, but we don't have the staff right now to
Okay.
put them in.
so I'm going to figure out if, first of all, this case is very easy because there's hardly any crowding in the lower. You notice that the lower right lateral is maybe a 0.5 millimeter crowded? Not much. Would we strip on this case? I think I'd strip a little bit, make sure I have enough room for that tooth. So when I want to measure that tooth, I'm going to put a mark over here on the deciduous canine, the amount of crowding that we have, which is very slight. So I'm going to put a little mark where I want to measure that on the canine. The other side I'm going to measure right to the interproximal, between the lateral and the canine. Okay? Now I also know that this is an actual copy of their model that's been emailed to us, right?
Correct.
We have some cases, and I don't think those are going to be sent to them at all, but we have
No.
some cases that they fax this to us, and the fax shrinks the image, so we have to compensate for an extra half size. I don't think you have to worry
Yeah,
about
that's
that.
Ortho-Tain. We don't allow any Healthy Start providers to fax anything in, so you don't
Okay.
need to worry about it.
So we want to measure at the middle of the incisal edge. So I usually put a couple little marks there on the front of the inside, on the top of the incisal edge. I want that to be where the ruler is going to go. Now we're going to do a few cases here after lunch, and I got 50 cases I want us to do.
That's
We
it?
only got 1, 2, 3, 4. We only have 4 dentists here, and almost a dentist, and almost a dentist. So anyway, otherwise I got to work next
All
week.
weekend.
It takes
Yeah.
me a day to go through 25 cases, maybe. It takes a long time. Anyway, so I'm going to measure from the ruler from one side to another. Now, I have a dentition that almost looks the same here. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to make sure that the ruler is the right size. Once in a while, I shouldn't say this maybe, but once in a while, we get die-cut rulers that come back slightly off, and we are constantly going through to make sure that they might have an older ruler that, so I always take, and I take the lower and I put one point on the one, and I make sure that the other line is even with the little pointer here. So I make sure that their ruler is the same as what we are going to measure, and this one is the same. Might be a couple thousandths of a millimeter off or something. So anyway, so then I'm going to measure this, and I'm going to measure.
It's amazing.
Couple thousandths of a millimeter.
Couple
We're like,
thousandths of
wow,
a
that's really
millimeter.
little.
Jeez.
Well, I tell you, each half size on the lower varies by 0.8 of a millimeter, which is very small amount. So a half size, we used to make only whole sizes years ago, and they worked fine. But we have half sizes so that it's a little more accurate. So even if you're off a half size, I don't think it's going to make any difference in the case. So we measure. It's hard for me to show this, but I put the pointer on the mesial of one lateral, and I go around to the other side. And on this case, it is a 3.5. Excuse me. It's a 4. And because they have first molars in, it's a G. And so a 4G is going to be used on here.
Or
And then
9G.
we also go on the upper, and I make sure that the 4G is going to be okay on the upper. Now this kid has all upper teeth, so we go around here, and we see that the 4 is going to fit on the upper as well. So these are good proportionate teeth.
Should we pass it around so they can see what you're
Yeah.
seeing?
Some cases, the lowers are bigger than the upper proportionately, and you can measure, and you might get a 4 on the lower, but you might get a 3 on the upper. That's called a tooth discrepancy. And if you have that, you might mention someplace that they have a tooth discrepancy. I don't know if you want to put that on here or not, but if they are going to measure the case themselves, sometimes they do, they say, well, when I measure the lower, it's not the size you recommended. Well, the upper is bigger or smaller than the lower. It's usually the bigger arch that we go to, particularly if they have crowding. If you are in between a measurement between, say, 4 or 4.5, and the case has crowding, I would go to the 4.5. Because so I don't know if you want to just take and measure this, then you can measure this. I'm going to go and measure this also. So I want you to measure this case as well. And I'm going to see what this case is. We had a woman in Finland that could look at the case and she'd tell me, oh, that's a 5, oh, that's a 3. And she was right almost 99% of the time. She was better than I was in seeing it. We had a contest going. Every time she won out, she'd let me know. All right, this case is a 5, and I go on the upper. Now, the laterals aren't all the way in yet, but I'm going to make sure there's going to be enough room for the laterals, and there is. So this case is a 5. I'm going to mark down. Yeah. And it's a G. I don't use an inner G because they're not going to straighten the teeth as well. I need a G to straighten the lower teeth. Not much crowding here, but it's a simple case. So back here on the treatment plan, I'm going to put...
We just realized I have a G missing, so I'll add it.
Oh my gosh, you know, employees aren't what they used to be, are they? Okay, G, I'm going to put 5G on there, okay?
Did everybody get a 5G, or did someone get something else when they tried to measure? Measure the lower and the
A
upper?
little bit over on the canine, maybe a ½ millimeter or something. There's not much crowd in this case. You could probably do this case without stripping, but I think I would recommend that they strip a little bit. Now the Charlotte's
So
only...
someone got a 4? Okay, hold on. Let's make sure everybody gets...
It makes a big difference if you don't go right on the inside of the ledge.
Right there.
For the stripping section, I'm going to add a space to write how many millimeters
Yeah, so I'm
for
going
each
to...
tooth.
Yeah.
I'm gonna strip the second molar. I don't know how we write this down. You have to figure out like a ½ millimeter.
Let's just stay on the outside.
Yeah, I'll put a little space where you can write half.
Isn't there a space?
½ millimeter.
I had one, but then when we changed it,
Oh.
I deleted it and forgot to put it back on. So you can just circle.
Constance is picking up pizza. Oh, Julia?
Oh, okay. They told me they'd get me if they needed me, so.
Oh, okay. So we'll add something here so that you'll have the opportunity to
Yeah, we
say...
need deciduous or first permanent or whatever it is, so I'm gonna put a ½ millimeter on the,
Imagine my disappointment.
we should just go distal. I don't know how this reads, but anyway, we'll figure it out. Not much stripping, just a little tiny bit.
So we have to clarify this a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Did everybody get a 5
Do we?
though?
We actually don't present anything on stripping.
Okay.
I'll add that.
I was
Sure.
just thinking,
Specific cases, we talk about how we've used, how we slenderize or use IPR, but I think it would be really helpful to talk about slenderizing, stripping,
You're
IPR.
doing the G, aren't you?
Yeah.
That guy, or who's that?
Yeah, no, I strip teeth all the time.
Oh, I know,
But I
maybe
don't
you should
present.
concentrate, you mentioned it.
We
Yeah,
should
and
add that
the
as a
class.
regular.
She's doing the, what, I know you're doing
oh,
the
you mean
diagnosis.
tomorrow?
No.
Well, no, like
We're just talking about overall.
in the
Yeah,
lecture weekends.
Going forward, we should incorporate more
I think
In
information
the
about...
overall lecture.
How to
you
do
really
it.
should identify.
Are you lecturing on G?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I
Diana
misunderstood.
Batoon, but
Well, I have
let's...
the kids part in the
You have
front.
night guide,
I have
yeah. Oh,
kids.
you could-
I have C and G, so I do.
Using the bathroom right now.
Oh, you do?
Yes, I
Okay,
do.
we're just
Mention
in time
it.
for
I
lunch.
will.
I told you.
Now, I
G.
usually use a mosquito burr, you know, like I said, and I go, as you taught me.
Little Diamond Fisher.
Yes, and go right through distal, in between the two, and then go to the other side and do the same thing.
Describe that
Never
to
touch the distals of the upper canines at all, and it worked beautifully.
Describe it.
Beautiful, okay.
It would be great if we added...
Even a picture of the little
How's the
burr would
video?
be pretty cool, because everybody goes, what's a mosquito burr? And I'm like,
Okay.
okay,
So
go
we
in there,
might
just
be
ask
seeing
them.
that.
and so
Yeah.
forth.
Can you do it all?
I don't know.
Yeah.
If you
Am
could
I-
take a couple pictures of what you do, we'll incorporate it someplace.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a mosquito, like an insect?
It's actually called a mosquito burr.
Okay.
Huh?
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you call it too, right? Like
Yeah,
that.
I used-
Thank
You used to
Well,
call
we
it a
use it-
700, but it's
in our
narrower
office, we
than
use a
that.
flame.
Yeah, it's even narrow,
Yeah,
yeah.
honestly, it might be helpful to have a video of that.
Yeah.
Is there anything online?
I can look for it. I mean, I think pictures are fine, but yeah, I mean, we could do a video. Once I have the contents, it's really easy to put in.
Okay.
I'll-
We can
I'll-
see who's in Dallas, and we could do a video of the Dallas. I mean, it would be a minute and a half video.
For sure.
You could even take a little, your girl could take a little video of you doing it.
Yes.
Be wonderful. Wouldn't that be helpful?
I think so. Take
Because
some
I've never heard of a
seriously.
mosquito. It's
Mosquito
a diamond fisher, right?
Yeah, it's a diamond bird, real thin, super tapered.
Wonderful.
It only, I think it's at the tip, 1/4 millimeter or something
Yeah.
at the tip,
Oh,
so
that's
you only
wonderful.
get
You get down to
Half,
the
you know.
contact.
Now, if you were gonna strip all on the second
Yeah,
deciduous
yeah,
one,
yeah.
you would use a slightly bigger one or run it through several
I
times?
just run it through several times. 'Cause I
Alright.
figure I've got the kid there, let me just get going, you know, once I get going, I just
Stop
keep
thinking
going.
about it.
Yeah,
No.
100%.
That'd be wonderful, yeah. Mention
Just
that.
find
I
just
will.
a little topical.
Okay,
We
so,
do it just with nitrous.
But we don't have a video
Well,
for
I don't do a lot
tomorrow.
of
I
nitrous.
mean, you're talking
but
about
we
as the
might
course
be
goes
able
forward.
to, we might be
Yeah,
able to
sometime
add a
forward, yeah.
picture or something like
Yeah.
that tomorrow, as opposed to the video,
Right.
but then we'll just,
Okay, nothing else is required here. I don't think we need a maxillary appliance. If you do, you would mark it class 3. Generally, class 3 I use at the very start, and then I followed up with one of the other appliances. We're not going to use any wires in this case. Now, the upper, the teeth are still coming in, so there's no active treatment here. Oh, excuse me, we're going to use active treatment because of this tooth. That tooth I don't think is going to need a cleat, but if it did, we would mark down.
Are you doing the lower right lateral? Which one did you say that to?
Yeah, lower right lateral,
Okay.
it's so minor.
I was gonna say it's
I
like
think
thousands of
is there any
millimeters
place for
off.
cleats?
I want to make sure we're on the same page, Dr. D.
I don't,
What do
she's
you
not
need?
here. I wondered if she had anything about cleats here.
Down at the bottom,
Did you just
section
have
7.
one or
Oh, cleats, she does.
You know,
So we draw a little
maybe
picture.
or
yeah,
bilateral,
so,
I would draw a little picture like this.
I always
I don't
figure I
know.
create a little bit of space, it's gonna help.
Yeah.
So I use the bilateral.
Dr. B, when we're talking about creating space, we're talking about bilaterally, right? You never recommend unilateral.
Stripping,
Once in a while, but usually it's bilateral because the midline might be off, but if there's no, deciduous molar on one side and there is on the other, I might strip on that, and that may be the more crowded side, and then it would go back around.
So
I've actually
say,
never done that.
in the case where the midline is on and it's just a little crowded on one side, would you maybe just do unilateral? like
I
here?
would do that.
Okay, so just.
so,
But it would be very minor. If there's crowding, I would usually do it.
hey, Jose, how are you? Oh, welcome, we're so glad you're here.
Should be a cleat
Hi.
section on there? Do you not
So-
see it?
We got it.
You've never met
Please,
Jose?
we got it.
Oh, you
yeah,
guys
okay,
never
we were talking about
So-
unilateral,
Come in,
bilateral
we're
stripping.
just,
How are
we're
ya?
finishing, so come in and then we're having lunch. So
Okay.
maybe that chair right there, and I was actually using your, or do you have?
He can have this.
Okay. So everybody, I don't know if you've met, this is Jose Pino, and he's actually traveled all the way from Ecuador.
Great to have you with us, Jose.
How are you?
Really. I'm not talking.
So Dr. Dolphy, Jill Umbrella you've met. This is her sister Beth.
Nice to meet you.
From
Rosalie.
Puerto Rico, almost the
Puerto
same
Rico.
distance.
Yeah, she lives in Puerto Rico. Yeah.
Dr. Gonzalez from Austin, Texas.
We met.
And you, oh, you met before?
Yeah.
On the Spanish
Yesterday.
webinar.
Oh, that's right,
Cool.
that's right.
But
And
have
you
you had
met
a drink
John?
with them on a pirate ship?
No.
And I still win. I still win. We had drinks on a pirate ship together.
John, did you meet Jose?
Yes.
Okay, and
Hi.
then Christine and everybody else has met, okay.
I'm Julia.
And
Julia? You didn't meet Julia
you-
yesterday?
he's-
No, I did not.
You did.
Christine, did you meet
I didn't meet him
Christine?
yesterday.
No, I saw him, but he was doing
Oh,
talking when
oh.
I was not talking, and I was talking when he
And
was
Jim,
not
our
talking.
computer
Yeah.
guru?
And I don't know if you met the other sales integration specialists that are in the other room, but you'll meet at lunch.
Very good. Integrate.
Yes.
Anyway, we're
Tools
gonna-
for success, we've got all these new words.
Can we take a break right now and?
Are you finished? Oh, you
I think we're
want,
done
no,
with
show
this.
them what the cleats
Oh,
look like. so
well, I
you
put,
show.
I don't know that the cleat would be necessary, but I would say maybe later. But I'll pass this
I'm
around.
just saying, if you do some stripping and then that appliance widens out, it should go in.
Push it.
There's nothing else of importance on that case, so that case is
If you want to, that's what you put down. I think we're.
dealing, dialing, doing.
I'm good. Oh, Jim, sorry.
So we're done with that. I'm gonna
Should make
put,
an executive decision.
So,
Put
so
it
you
on the
got-
table.
For the
Yeah.
upper, is there-
You weren't there.
No, we're
Try.
good.
Yeah, there's a little bit of crowding.
Oh, no, I wouldn't touch that yet.
I'll just sit with you guys.
Yeah, the upper,
Talk about all my stuff.
upper shows a little rotation, but I'm not gonna do anything on that tooth. That tooth's gonna rotate
Okay.
because it doesn't have fibers yet.
Okay.
So, but the upper is gonna be working okay. We're gonna use active wear on the lower because the foreign incisors are in.
Okay.
You could use probably a passive appliance, but we'll just make sure. And the upper is no worry because those teeth will rotate and come in, and I think it should be okay.
Even though the space looks a little bit deficient on the laterals?
Oh yeah, it'll make room for itself.
Okay.
We can have laterals sometimes 2 millimeters off, and it'll enlarge that arch. That arch will be enlarged maybe 4 or 5 millimeters,
Okay.
which should be enough.
That's great.
By the way, the most I've had out of a limited number of cases that I've measured on these things, I had an 8 millimeter enlargement on the upper and a 7 on the lower. So you can get even more by, upping the size of the appliance if they need it. I think this girl had maybe 3, different sizes. But the second appliance, you could skip several sizes because they're already used to it. Now the first appliance, usually you can only go up maybe 2 half sizes, maybe 3. But if you measured say a 6, and their arch is really like a 4, I wouldn't put a 6 in immediately because the kid will probably never wear it. So I would put maybe a 5 in immediately and then go to the 6 or the 7 or what. The second one can be much bigger because they're already used to the feel of the appliance. You don't want to discourage the child from wearing the thing. But if the lower had only 3 incisors and the lateral was still coming in, I would use the interim G passively, only at night. But because the 4 incisors are in, there's a little rotation, we're going to see cases that are a lot more crowded than this coming. So, okay? Is that all right? You're ready to go, you can send this one off.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything else. Oh, I didn't, here, do this one.
On Sunday.
I would mark cleats. What do we have? I usually mark out here how many we have in the front, but,
How was it?
It was really crowded, it was cold. I heard that they were closing because of the Lollapalooza.
Oh, cool. Because of what? Lollapalooza?
All kids are drugged out on the streets, I don't know what's going on.
Right now? Slava today.
They're all drugged, it's like, and you want some? No, thank you, I don't do that.
Are you asking me?
No, they're asking me, no, I don't even.
How's our buddy Jose Julian?
I haven't seen him in a while. What? He had different,
Is he getting in trouble?
out.
I guess this is mine. I'll put it right here.